I'm feeling kinda swing, I just got to sing. Been low for a while, but now I got my style. I'm feeling kinda groovy, baby, a bit groovy. I'm taking this feeling, it just keeps me healing. It's cool being a hero, I ain't no zero. I can
Hey everybody, Tom Pagano here. I'm glad you all could join me on my first episode of Let's Talk Music. I guess, each episode has to have a title. So today's show is going to be called Music and the Generation Gap. But before we get talking on that, I just want to see, hope you like that little opening I did. And that song called I Feel Swing was a song I recorded years ago on a CD I done. But anyway, it was a song about feeling good, and that's pretty much what I want this show to be. I feel good, like we're sitting down having a cup of coffee, in my cup of coffee, and just talking music. But anyway, if you want to see that whole video and some other great programming, I have a Roku channel and a channel on Amazon Fire called The Entertainment Window. So if you go to, you have either one of those, just go to the streaming store, type in those magic words, the entertainment window, hit add, and guess what? You'll be watching original local music and entertainment. I mean, it's all kinds of entertainment. It's interviews, music videos, um, just just good old fun time. And you know what? There's no commercials. So check those things out. But let's get going with today's show, the generation gap. I know, growing up, we all had, different taste in music. Um, your mother didn't listen to what you listened to, and your father would say, "Oh, get that rock and roll crap off the radio. It's the devil's music." We all heard that. But one thing that's always fascinated me for years, I worked doing a Spanish show up in New York, a salsa show at Madison Square Garden, and Radio City Music Hall was once a month. Here's a plug for the company. I worked with MB Productions, and the director was Anthony Pagano, great director, no relation, but still a great director. And he used to cut the show all the time, and was every month we do a show was a Spanish radio station up there. And one thing that always blew me away, there was no generation gap. There were grandparents there with their young kids, and they were just enjoying the music. They all knew the music. They were just partying on. And it was just like, and to me, it was amazing. There was, it's like, it wasn't like your grandmother grabbed someone down and go, "You're gonna watch this music. This is real music." There was no generation gap, and it's something I don't see in any other culture, I guess. I mean, I grew up in an Italian household, and my parents, especially on Sunday, I think the show was Compadre Joe Rutolo. It was Italian hour. They play all the Italian crooners, sing, and then my mother would during the week would listen to Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, all the crooners and stuff, and and I would listen to at that time, Beatles and stuff. But I got lucky. My parents, kind of accepted that, when the Beatles came in, they accepted that, and they loved it. And so still, they wouldn't go to a Beatles concert with me. They would sit down and enjoy it, but they wouldn't be at a show together. But so the point I'm getting at is there a generation gap in today's music? I think so. But I want to talk. While we're talking about Spanish music, I want to talk a little bit about a show I did a couple of years ago down in Mexico. I was down there for about a month and a half doing Luis Miguel. And Luis Miguel down in Mexico, is the superstar. He's like the Tom Jones of Mexico. He can't do anything wrong. He's a great singer, puts on a great show, and I enjoyed it. But he has some funny quirks. And well, let me tell you about the quirks first. When you go to a show, do a concert, you have your LED screens up there, so the audience can see close up of the band and what's going on. Well, we had them there, but we also had these two side screens that were on the stage that faced in, so only Luis could see them. And my first day there, the director told me, says, your only shot is on Luis. Keep him full, keep his hands in the shot always, and nothing else. I'll take, when I need a shot, I'll take him, but don't worry about anybody else on stage. And there were tons of musicians and performers on stage, but he wanted me on there. And the reason for that, in those two side screens, those were for Luis, so he could look at himself, so he could do his moves. He had the corniest moves. They were great moves. I mean, his show was just, choreographer great, but he had to look into the LED screens, fix his hair. They were his monitors, and it was funny. And after, he would look at his song, he'd turn around to the audience and show his bright teeth. I don't know. That was just a Miguel thing. But at that concert was the same thing. There was people of all ages, from 12 to grandmothers, and they all knew the songs, and they all got up and danced, and it was awesome. And I don't think that happens in today's music. There's a generation gap, and I'm looking to see. You guys can send questions to me if you want to. I'm supposed to be able to see them on my screen, but I'm not getting a question. So somebody type me in a question, and let me see if it comes up. And hopefully we can have a conversation back and forth, because if that's not working, I'm in trouble. I mean, stuck talking to me. I want, so if you have any questions about this, but anyway, let's get back into talking about music and, the generation gap. Do you listen to the music that your kids listen to, or do you stick to the genre of music? I'm from the 70s, 60s, and 70s, and the 80s, and I love it all, and I play it all. And growing up, my kids and I listened to the same music just because, we enjoyed it. Up, up. I see a question. I'm sending a question. Get that shit working. I don't know what that means. What shit? What shit ain't working? But anyway, well, I was saying, me and my kids, we grew up, listening to the same music. I was a young dad, so we had the same taste in music. But now I have grandkids, and honestly, I can't listen to their music. It's just not what I'm into. So my question to you is, do you still stay in the genre of music that you grew up with, or do you expand your music horizons and check out other bands, new music that's out there? Let me know. Somebody, is my shit working? I don't know. That was the only question I got so far, but I need some people to come in and answer me a question. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. So where are all my friends at? Anyway, so and another Spanish group I worked with was Santana, a Mexican group. And I told the story on TikTok about when I worked with Carlos. It was kind of amazing because his band and him are super friendly. There's no not getting along. Dude, my chat is popping. Okay, so I'm popping, so I'm going to take down the audio level a little bit. Facebook chat. It's popping in Facebook chat. I don't know what that means, but I'm pulling down the audio, so hopefully it won't pop anymore. But I just lost my train of thought of what I was saying with all these messages coming in. Um, oh no, what do I do? I go to my notes. Well, I was saying, me and my kids, we listen to the same thing. Me and my grandkids, not so much. It's just something that's not there for me. I believe it or not, when I toured with rock bands, and there was a while I was on tour. I think I was being punished because I was 5 years on bad rap popping, as in people are asking. I don't know. I couldn't. The questions don't stay up there that long. But anyway, I, 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 I was forced to do rap tours for about 5 years straight. And I don't want to get into the names of some of the bands, but they were top level bands, and some of the situations I had with them wasn't pleasant. But I did it. I got through it, and then a big break was I got called by Metallica to do a tour with Metallica, and I got off that bandwagon of 5 years of rap. And the point being is, I just don't think I could listen to that music 24/7. When I see my grandkids and they put the radio on, and while we're in the car, I say, "My music. I'm not listening to that crap." It's not just because I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. I just don't um, think it's his talented attachment one image. I don't know what that means. I can't do that. I don't know who's sending me that. But anyway, um, those messages, just getting used to those messages coming in and throwing me off. Anyways, so do you, as a person, as a person of the 60s and 70s, get into today's music? Do you give it a chance, or do you stay by the genre that you grew up in? Meaning, like, I'm rock and roll. You tell I'm a huge Beatle fan, and I could listen to the Beatles all day. And then I used to go to Def Leppard and Bon Jovi, who I toured with. I can listen to them. And there's some new music out there that I appreciate, but I tend to stay in my genre and and give give other ones just a little bit of shot. And that always leads to a question. A question I'm going to ask you, and hopefully somebody will write in, and not that I'm popping, but do you think there's still soul in rock and roll? Has modern technology taken the soul out of music? And because, back in the day, or even today, you know, there's nothing like the magic, in my feeling, of when a group of guys and gals get together and they play, and there's a connection, and the music comes out, and you feel it, and there's that connection is the soul. And now today, you could not be a musician, and you could go online and pull down clips and make a song and put it together and put it out there. Is that is there still soul in that? And I asked that question to a lot of people, and most of the people of my generation. It's Woody. Your Facebook chat has several peeps, but obviously something. The chats don't stay up there that long. But so I couldn't read what he was saying, Woody. I'm sorry. Um, let's see. It got me all confused. Okay, so the soul and rock and roll. By being able to download clips and arrange them on a timeline and put it out. I got people that say there's soul in that because it's still coming from somebody who's putting, using their originality to put a song together. And I see that, but it's not the same to me as if me and Woody and whoever out there were got in a room and started playing, there's a magic, there's a spark, and there's something within that interaction that gives the soul. Now, somebody tell me what you think. I'm wondering what your thoughts on, because I'm doing a documentary called "Is This Still Soul and Rock and Roll?" And that's the main question: is has modern technology replaced the soul, or is it just somewhere different? And so I'm giving. I would like to get some feedback from you guys to see what you think about that. And nobody's responding, so I'm just gonna take another sip of coffee. And I feel, when I play music, I've been in a band, a couple bands, but now I write goofy songs and record here myself. And I don't cheat. I use a drum machine. I have to actually program the drums in the beats I want. I'm not stealing, drum sounds from everybody. I'm programmed in the drums, and then I'll do my guitar parts over it. And so it's still more soul in that because it's actual analog me playing, even though there's not some with somebody else. It's I'm somewhat of a musician playing, and it's coming out of me, as opposed to not being a musician and dropping clips together. And but I see and I understand some of the people's things, saying it's still they're creative. Many people are responding in your Facebook live chat. Oh, I don't know how do I get. Let me see. Hold on a second. It's supposed to come up on my screen, but I'm not seeing it. So let me see if I could find it here. Uh, I'm not. I can't see the question, and that stinks. That I can't see the question. The only questions that I see coming in is what he's sending me. Um, so I guess that's something I'm going to have to work out. I'm really sorry, guys, that I'm having this technical problem. This is a first run of my podcast, and I'm not really happy with it because I feel there's people chatting and talking. Are they talking about me? Are they talking with me? I wish I could see them so I could answer the questions. Hold on one second. I'm gonna hum while I see if I can. What's going on here? I can't see what people chats. Uh, how long have you been? Now I see. God, technical problem for me. I'm sorry, guys. How long have I been in the business? I've been in the business about 40 years. I started out as an audio engineer. And I think I told it on the first time that I took a course back in the early 80s with Don Casal, who I love the guy. He's incredible engineer. He taught me everything. His credits go from uh, he was the engineer in Inagata Devita, Iron Butterfly, and he worked with the Rascals, and he taught me audio engineering. So I started as an audio engineer in the early 80s, 82, and then I switched over to video in the mid 80s. And I just went, and the progress is when I started, doing commercials, working at TV. Then I started working for Fox Sports, shooting sports. And then I finally crossed over to the, music and entertainment. And I've been doing that for about 25 years, 30 years, touring, studio work, live performances, live events. Let me see if another question. Never miss a comment. Click on it. How long have I been in business? No Facebook. No Facebook. I don't know why. No, there's no Facebook. This is. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting messages, and I should be. I don't know why people are saying I have no Facebook. Is anybody seeing me on Facebook? Or am I just on YouTube? Let me see what's going on. I'm really sorry, guys. This is like a Virgin flight, and I hope it's. I hope this is not a crashing flight. Go live, go live. Um, I don't know, guys. I'm really sorry. Um, I'm gonna try to get these problems taken care of, so nobody's seeing me on Facebook. Well, I guess I just have a YouTube audience, but um, no. Uh, let me see. Let me see what my thing says about. You will figure it out. Don't sweat it. Just keep rolling. Yeah, I know. It's that's one thing about live. And same thing, like I say, recording. You do it live, and you got it's there's no working back. You have to work through it, and that's when I talk about music. When I record, I like to do it. Record my guitar solos and everything live. I'm not a fan of doing punch-ins. Like playing 4 bars and then stopping, then punching in. Especially now with the setup I have here, I have a 12-channel board, mixing board, and 12 tracks, and it's all I allow myself to use. I have certain guitar tracks, and so if I'm going to play a guitar part, I have to play it right from the beginning to the end because there's no punching in. And if I feel if it's really good, I'll keep it. If it's a bad mistake, then I got to start over, and I do it that way. And that's it's fun for me that way because it forces myself to concentrate and not say I could do a punch in. And the same thing with my solos. Not that they're great solos, but my solos, I have to play it. And sometimes I get it, and half of it is great, and the back end of it might be like, ah. So it's a choice. Do I do it again? Do I keep it? But one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to punch and save, punch and save. Like Jeff Beck said, feelings aren't always perfect. So if I make a mistake and the feeling is good, I'm going to keep it down. And that's the same thing I feel when I do a song. If the feel is there, there might be a couple of mistakes, and there usually is in some of my songs. If you listen, there might be a bum chord or something, but the feel was there. So I'd rather keep the feel than have a perfection. How long I still see. What was my favorite tour? Hmm. Hmm. That's a tough one because there's a lot of tours had a lot of good things and bad things about them. I would say probably one of my favorite tours was touring with Bon Jovi. Uh, the music was good, it was great. Um, the crew, which is always a big part of the tour. If you have a crew that works together, that understands each other, and kind of jive, it's good. If there's fighting among the crew, I mean, not just video. I mean, the whole production, from audio to lighting to automation. If everybody's on the same page and there's a good crew chief all the way around and a good production manager, the tour is great. And with Bon Jovi, I think we had a lot of that. I mean, there were times things went crazy, but I'd say Bon Jovi was probably one of my favorite tours. It was a fun tour. Got to work with a lot of great bands with John. Obviously working with him. Then we worked with Def Leppard. Um, Goo Goo Dolls opened for us. Um, there was so many bands overseas. My next favorite tour after that, um, Santana was a lot of fun. Um, like I said, I told you the story about with Carlos, but he was a lot of fun to tour with. The same thing, the crew was really tight. Um, Now, to take it to the opposite end, the worst tour. And then I can't even think of his name. That's how much I did. I blocked it out. It was a rap tour, and it's to Chris Brown. All right, I went and I said it. It wasn't my favorite tour. I did a couple tours with him, and I don't know. It wasn't fun. It was just it was it was just a lot of egos on the band's part. And going back to another fun tour was Rihanna. I I it started off kind of rough, but as the tour got going, we were out for like 9 months, and it was great. The crew became tight, and I was working with my favorite partner in the world, Lisselle, and we had our thing called Camera Island because it was me and her. We were in charge of all the cameras. There were five hard cameras and couple in the pit. So we were kind of had our own did our own little thing. LED had their own little thing, but um, me and Cell worked together so many times, and we were such a team that we everybody wanted to come in and be a part of our island. We wouldn't let them. It's just us because we were the only camera people there. But anyway, Rihanna was a fun tour, and I did a couple Jay Z tours. Jay Z was fun. Um, the first On the Run was tough, but it was a lot of fun. And I'll give you a funny story that happened on the Run tour. We did the whole tour, and our last show was going to be in Paris, and it was taped, going to be recorded for a show for HBO. So every couple of shows, the people from HBO would come in and check us out and see the show. So we finished the tour and we all get to Paris, and the director comes up to me, uh, Ian, and he says, "Tom, the director for HBO has a problem with you." I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, he wants to see you and he wants to talk to you." I'm like, "All right, I don't know what the problem is, so hope we could work it out." So I go see him, and I was one of the cameras in the pit. I would shoot close-ups of Beyonce and all the dancers and stuff. And the director from HBO comes up to me and goes, "We've been shooting test footage of uh, of the concerts, and there's one thing that stands out that you're doing, and it's going to become a big problem." And I was like, "What? Is my framing bad?" He goes, "No, your head is shining out in a pit and it's distracting in the shot." I'm like, "That's the problem with me. I'm bald." So I said to him, "Well, I'll get my head and I'll put shoe polish on it and I'll put OTR on there for On the Run." And he was like, "Oh, no, that's gonna work." So I said, "Well, you got to get buy me a beret. But I'll wear a beret and this way it covers my head and you won't get the glare from my head because there's nothing else I can do." So I got the beret and I shot it. And from that show on, for a while, my Matt Euler, if you're watching, I think you were the one that came up with it, called me Pepe Pagano. So that was my nickname for a couple Beyonce and Jay-Z tours. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. Only only YouTube. I feel swing. Somebody wants to story about I feel swing. I feel swing is a feel good kind of song. Is I feel swing is narrative is fun for I'm having a good time. I'm on top of the world, and if you go to the entertainment window, you will see that on I take the whole complete music video. I feel swing, and you will understand it a little bit more. And that was one of the songs I actually did it on a digital 4 track, and was a lot of bouncing. And me being a nervous, I have a hard time singing in front of people. I did all my vocals in a park, in a pickup truck, brought the recorder with me, did the vocals, and that's the story about I Feel Swing. So, guys, I feel really bad about what's going on here. The Facebook, I had a whole bunch of people, hopefully, who are going to watch me on Facebook, and I don't know what happened, but we'll fix it up for the next one, and this way we can have a better conversation and a better show. But guys, it's just like rock and roll. It's not a lot of times things go awry, but we keep going. And like I said, we're just a bunch of friends hanging out talking. And we're not talking about saving the world. We're not talking about politics or anything that's going on in the world. We're talking music and having fun. And I'm just sharing some experiences I had and fun on the road. And hopefully, like I said, we'll get this audio thing. This chat thing worked out so we could get together and have more like a conversation, and I could feed off of you and we could talk a little bit more. Pepe Pagano, great story. Thank you. That was Kenneth K. Yeah, that was a fun tour. Uh, uh, I'll put a picture up if I get it next week, and I'll of course I have a shot of me sitting with my camera on my shoulder with my little beret, and and Pepe Pagano, and like I think, well, I got my credits on there. It was Tom Pagano, but I'm Pepe. That's one of my nicknames. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed today, and I really, again, feel bad about all the Facebook people because I had a lot of people, not a lot. Well, I don't know how many people I have altogether, but I'm gonna have to take care of this issue. Um, but anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Again, I'll be back next Tuesday at the same time. I want to make it a weekly thing to start. Just talking music, talking fun, and like I said, I'm not out here to save the world. Not out here to preach anything. Just talk because I have a lot of stories about the road, and there's a lot of things I like to talk about. Maybe like next week we'll talk about your first concert. Let's do that next week. We'll talk about the first concert you went to, who it was, if anything strange happened on it. Because yeah, mine was, I'll tell you, it was Eric Clapton was my first concert, the Slow Hand tour, and yeah, it was very very interesting. So that'll be one of the conversations we'll have next week. So when we get back, have your stories about your first concert, what you did, if you liked it, if you were disappointed, or just starstruck. Like I was starstruck, and when I started doing concerts, um, it was amazing because for years I was on that side of the stage. Now I was on this side of the stage, part of the production, and just another, I guess, another thing to talk about. Brody, for me, I think the most thrilling part I had was the very first time I shot a show at Madison Square Garden. When I got there and I stood on the stage and looked out into the audience for the very first time on there, it kind of got chills up and down my spine for a second because I was like, wow, there were so many people. John Lennon, uh, George Harrison, God, whoever, Beatles, everybody who played at Madison Square Garden was there. And I just was like, wow, I'm seeing what they're seeing. So that was kind of a chilling thing. So that was kind of fun. And even now, looking back at it, going to my first concert and seeing Eric Clapton, and then working with Eric Clapton, which I have, was kind of an amazing thing. So we'll talk about that. And I just want to end up with one last little quick story. When I was called a couple years back to fill in on James Taylor, and it was I'm a big James Taylor fan, and it was a great tour. And I think that tour is kind of up there with one of the favorites I did. But what was so much fun for me, I got to work by one of my favorite drummers in the world. I mean, I was set here in the back of the stage with the drums and the small horn section. And you know what? I'm going crazy for a second because I can't even think of my favorite drummer's name right now. I'm joking. Steve Gadd. I loved Steve Gadd for years, and he was an incredible drummer, and he was the drummer for James Taylor, and we got to know each other not incredibly well, but just kind of talked to each other before. And he's such an ultimate professional because 10 minutes before showtime, he's back there warming up, doing his paradiddles, just singing there, and we would chat for a few minutes, and we would go up and give each other the high five, and again, that's like another surreal moment for me. Steve Gadd, and it's just interacting with him on a friendly level, and was pretty amazing. And my shots were pretty much of his hands, just showing him playing, and it was magical. And then on the other side of me was Walt Fowler, who is an incredible player. And what was so incredible about him, we got to know each other pretty well too. He out of college worked with Frank Zappa, and I'm a huge Frank Zappa fan. And so me and Wolf Fowler got chatting, and he would tell me Frank Zappa was his first gig out of college, and it was nerve-wracking, but he loved it because it really got him going and put him on, kind of set him up for what life as a musician would be. But he set it up. Frank Zappa's standards were so high that everything else after that became so easy, and so he looks back at those years with Frank Zappa and appreciates it. And so the James Taylor tour was pretty awesome. And at the end of the tour, James would give everybody a tour poster, and personally wrote a note to each of the roadies that were on the tour, and everybody got hey, great job with lights, so on and so forth. I got mine, and it says, Tom, I know what you did with that pig, James Taylor. Still don't know what he meant by that, but it's James Taylor. You gotta love it. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you again next week. We'll get together and talk a little bit more music, and hopefully everything will be a little bit more prepared. But I love you guys. Hope this was a great start. I feel good. It was a great launch to get it going. So till next week, rock on, my friends.
Do my thing, 'cause I'm feeling kinda swing. I just got to sing below.